Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Good evening.
Wherever you are.
Welcome to being here. I'm Ariel.
And I'm Shia.
Wow. The
Wow.
mind's playground.
Wow. Let me see. How could I have done my life differently? Oh, you know how you rethink and rehash and find fault with how you said it or did it?
Or plan, worry. Do you do it mainly in the middle of the night? Do you wake up and your mind is active? It's not a fault. It's the mind's playground.
It's the mind's function. See, your mind is a survival machine. Its object, its purpose is for your survival or for survival of your mind. And it will work out the worst possible scenarios to survive in. You know, haven't you ever? Ariel and I were once walking down the road by the Delaware River, and I saw a squirrel. And in my mind, that squirrel turned into a black bear. And it happened in an instant.
And then
I figured out how I would fight it off and protect my wife. So there.
That's right.
That's right. I did that.
Yeah, as a kid.
Yeah, as kids, we have those fantasies all the time.
But then as we grow and supposedly get more sophisticated,
we sophisticate our story. Did we say we finished each other's sentences?
We didn't, but we did.
But this is a fun finishing.
It is a fun finishing.
Because I'm
finishing my sentences
and listening to you.
Well,
that makes it easy.
Yeah, but I know we're shifting into talking about listening, and I realize that listening is such an incredible tool to pull you out of your mind, to allow you to step into the moment as opposed to the machinations like that.
Well, yes, but you see, it's what are you listening to? Because if you're listening to your mind, you believe it to be reality.
Well, particularly because, we got an email yesterday, and it was written in the middle of the night by one of our friends and one of the folks who participates. And she was being so hard on herself in her thought process. I'm sure her family was asleep. She'd been up basically all night working on something. So the conversation was between her and herself, but it wasn't actually her. It's her story talking to her story. And she...
See, we all have stories. We have a story about who we think we are. It's been largely determined by the circumstances of our upbringing and our cultural heritage. And then you rework reality through that story. So you're not here to discover your life newly in each moment. You're more replaying proof that you're screwed up or proof that you're doing okay. Doesn't matter which one. They're both the two sides of the same coin. If you're trying to prove you're doing okay, you're lost in your thoughts. If you're proving that you're screwed up, you're lost in your thoughts or your mind, whatever you want to call it.
So if you want to have today's podcast be most effective or supportive or perhaps fun, I suggest listening to our words rather than your commentary about them.
Rather than your interpretation of our words. See, you translate life into you talk. You know, whatever your name is, you could put that in front of that talk and you'd have how you live life. Your internal conversation, your internal reality explains external reality to you. So you're interpreting life as it shows up rather than being here moment by moment, experiencing your life. You're lost in the conversation, the narrative that you have internally about what's happening in your universe, but you also are interpreting that universe to see what you see. So it's all a creation of your mind.
Here's one of the challenges, though. Your ability to process information is far faster than our speech pattern. So it's so simple to go off and have entire conversations between my words. Let's see if today we can give ourselves a break and slow down to just being here. And that includes not trying to get anywhere, including not even trying to escape your mind.
Well, you can't.
But if,
However,
Mm,
if you fall into the current moment, your mind quiets.
but if you've identified your mind and that internal conversation is bad, you'll be resisting it. And anything you resist or you don't like or you don't want persists, it grows stronger, it dominates you in the middle of the night.
Well, Ariel and I spent a couple of years, pretty much, living in a cloistered environment at a meditation center in northern Italy, about 35 years ago now, I guess it is.
Wow.
And we spent that time trying to quiet our minds. You know what ended up happening? Our minds got noisier. Because when you try to quiet something, you put your attention on it, and then it becomes your reality. We're suggesting that if you just listen to our conversation with whoever we're going to speak to today, chances are your mind will quiet just in your listening. As long as you're not judging what we're saying to try to fit it into what you already know. Play the dummy, allow yourself not to know, not to be on top of everything. Just, allow yourself to just be.
Wow, that sounds restful.
Well, it would
Being the
be.
dummy.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
love it.
We seem to have to prove how smart we are all the time. What if we're not so smart? What if we can just be a dummy and see what shows up?
Well, let's see who shows up,
That's
shall we?
right.
All right. We have our friend Dave as our first guest.
Hi, Dave.
Hi.
Hi, guys. Hey, I'm Dave. I'm calling from Winnipeg today.
All
Where's
right.
Winnipeg?
Winnipeg is in the center of Canada.
In the center of Canada.
That's
Is it
great.
cold in Winnipeg?
It's that time of year when it is. Yeah, it was
Now,
cold.
of course, this will be airing in April
It could
7th.
still be cold.
We'll
in Canada.
see what it
I hear
is.
you only have 2 seasons in Canada.
Winter and almost winter.
Winter and darn late into the fall.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah, it could still be cold when this airs.
That's great.
It's really nice to be with you guys. As I've been listening to the introduction to the show, I can feel my body relaxing as I'm just listening to you. In preparing for it, my mind is a very serious place for me. And so, yeah, as I was anticipating the show, it was getting very serious and got to come up with the right.
Dave, like I said earlier, the mind is a survival machine, and survival is serious. When I was a kid, I remember a story about the grasshopper and the ants. Do you remember that story?
No,
Where the grasshopper just played all summer long, and then winter came. And the ants, they worked assiduously all summer long so they'd have food stored up for winter. The grasshopper just became more food for the ants. But in the story, it didn't work that way. In the story, the ants were kind beings that fed the grasshopper so he could live on.
But in reality, chances are the ants would eat the grasshopper.
Absolutely. But, there's this idea, we come from a strong work ethic where, from people who've worked hard all their lives, we were born into that system of behavior. And so we work hard and we are seriously working on getting better and doing the things we think we need to do to get better, rather than live, rather than relax, rather than slow down a little bit and stop trying to get somewhere and discover this moment or this moment, etc., etc.
That lightness doesn't come easy to me.
Well,
not when you think about it.
It doesn't come easy when you're lost in your thoughts about what you need to produce. You live in Canada. Do you ski?
I cross-country ski.
Okay, cross-country ski. When you're cross-country skiing, are you working on projects or are you trying to stay on your feet?
No, when I cross-country ski and I think about something else, I fall down.
That's why I said, are you thinking about projects or you're trying to stay on your feet?
Trying to stay on my feet. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So you could live your life like you were cross-country skiing.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
Now, do you have fun when you're cross-country skiing?
I do. Yeah, it gets me out into the wilderness.
Well, then, see, if you live your life like a cross-country skiing, you could have fun with your life.
See, I think also, we're doing this via Zoom and I'm seeing you and I see behind you, you have a range of things, including plants. You have a really lovely plant over your right shoulder. And it occurs to me that if you have an idea that you don't like to water the plants, then when you go to water that plant, you're likely to skip off into a conversation because you're in the midst of what you might consider a chore. And of course, life is peppered with potential chores, whether it's the laundry or the dishes or making the bed or watering the plants, etc. So if there are things we've identified as this is not our idea, in a better world, I wouldn't have to do these things, then when you're in the midst of that activity, your mind skips off to talk to itself. And one of the games in this whole lovely world of being here is discovering how to invest in what you're in the midst of fully, rather than invest in your commentary about what you're doing.
Or what you could or should be doing. Because that's another very viable commentary to get lost in.
So you're watering the plant, talking to yourself about how I'd much rather be out cross-country skiing. Whereas the plant itself, how to get it in there without getting a drop on the floor, or how much, or the fascination with the sheen on the leaves, or there's that potential. I mean, I was doing the laundry this morning and it was...
You can't get a fascination with the sheen on the leaves if you're trying to get a fascination with the sheen on the leaves. If you're trying to make the moment exciting. Because that's you outside your experience talking to you about how you should or could be, and then striving to get to that place, which is normal. That is so normal. That's the way most of us go through our lives. I mean, falling into the current moment of your life is a very pleasant accident.
I did have a lovely morning this morning. I did have a lovely morning, but I had a lovely moment whilst doing the laundry. There was a load of clothes that I wanted to get into the dryer before we did the podcast. And it's clothes I've been wearing a lot because I've been enjoying them. Tie-dye is back. So these are mostly like colorful clothes. And one of the neat things was when I pulled them out of the washing machine, because they were wet,
They were
the
brighter.
colors were so intense. And I was holding up the shirt going, wow, look at that, and it was really a fun moment.
But you couldn't plan it.
No, you cannot plan being delighted.
Right. Delight happens when you fall into the moment. And you fall into the moment, and it's always new and it's always different. The mind compares. So it compares and complains. It's comparing what you have to what you think you ought to have or what you once had. That's a killer. Where it compares what you're doing to what you did once before that was better.
Plus,
it's always better.
In your case, I know that your girlfriend lives at a distance, and your travel plans to see her because she's in the UK got shut down the night before you were able to travel. And so it's been a period of time since you've seen each other. So I'm certain that your mind can create alternate realities where A, that didn't happen, B, everything opens up, C, it's like it has the timing for you getting what it is you want, as opposed to investing in what is.
Yeah, that situation, just kind of comes and goes through my mind. Not just the flight, but the time and how are we going to survive this time apart? And I can see that playing, excuse me, I can see that playing through my mind. And when I jump into it, life gets really unpleasant.
Yes, because you have a preference. You have preference that you could be with her and spend time together. But in this moment, it isn't a possibility except via Zoom. But at least you have Zoom.
A lot of our ancestors were separated by wars.
Well, how's this? My grandfather left his wife and children in Russia and went to the United States to earn enough money to bring them across to the United States. And it took several years.
Well, one of the things that was an impediment, aside from needing to earn money enough to smuggle them out, was the Russian Revolution happened. It was just a slight interruption in their plans.
Right. And they
took them 10 years.
My father had to crawl under a barbed wire fence where there were guards with machine guns to escape Russia with his mother and sisters. You got a delay. You can take a plane next year, next month. It'll work out. Life works out if you let it.
Yeah.
But if you don't let it, if you complain to yourself about what you got
and feel sorry for yourself for your interruption of plans
and your situation, you'll never find satisfaction, even if it turns out the way you think it ought to. Because the habit is to be disgruntled with what you have. And if you finally get together with your love, you'll start finding faults, same way you've been.
However, if you keep investing in your well-being, then when you get together, it's a wonderful blossoming rather than a continuation of the complaint train.
And you see, it's always going to end at some point. So when you get together, you're already worrying about it's being over when you have to go home to Canada.
Yeah.
But I do have one thing to say about that.
You can see that, yes?
Oh, yeah.
Shia and I have been together for close to 39 years now. And the idea of worrying about when it's going to end is still here. So it's about reeling ourselves back to here and investing in this rather than worrying about what's upcoming. Because We'll deal with
this,
it.
and by the way, this is where it's happening. This is all there is. The future doesn't get here a moment before it does. It always shows up in current time. But you can destroy this moment in anticipation of another moment that's going to be more, different, or better. That's the playground of the mind. More, different, and better.
I love that, because my experience is always different than the idea my mind creates about what the future will be, about how things will turn out. And I've learned it from you guys, that the idea that I have succeeded and survived to this moment, done very well, is not the story. It's not the future my mind created for me.
Of course not. But you see, your mind could only create the future it created from its history, from what's happened before. With transformation, new possibilities erupt into the moment like a volcano from nowhere.
When you were talking about more, better, and different,
Mm-hmm.
In the dichotomies, in change, you have the flip side of all those things. Your mind wants more, but it's worried about less. You're hoping to make things better, but you're concerned it's going to get worse. And different, you want it to be different, but you're afraid it's going to be the same, and the same is a complaint. So when you're talking about it erupting,
even the different, it's only a different you want rather than a different you don't want.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Thanks for being with us today.
Yes.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
It's that time.
The time for what?
Our listener feedback spotlight.
What is that?
Well, I'm so proud of the people who listen to this show. And now we get to hear from one or more of them about what's happening in their lives with transformation by listening to this podcast and
what they've discovered about life, what they've discovered about their lives, that they are experiencing fun in their lives.
And that they want to share it with you.
Yeah.
This is Sandy in Munich, Germany. And taking part in these online seminars with Ariel and Shaya and the community is so much more powerful than I ever thought it could be. Finding myself and my center in the midst of a lot of turbulence, in the midst of thinking I have too much work to do while others have nothing to do, and all these thoughts. And then I come to a seminar and it's like I have all these lovely people in front of me and my heart opens and I slow down and relax.
Do you want to have well-being with consistency? Connect with people all over the world from the comfort of your own home at Ariel and Shire's lively interactive Living Made Easy virtual seminars. Join any of their 2-hour online events or take a deep dive into the magic of being you at a virtual weekend seminar. Come on, let's connect. Find out more and register at transformationmadeeasy.com.
We have some Living Made Easy virtual seminars coming up this Saturday, and then also on Monday the 12th. Next week on Friday,
we have the Freedom to Breathe, which is an amazing opportunity to get into the moment just by breathing.
Then on the weekend, celebrating the unexpected. That's both Saturday and Sunday. Just to let you know, it's a bilingual set of courses.
So it's going to be translated into German as well. We don't speak German, but the translator does.
My comprehension of it has come up at least somewhat during the years.
I can't say the same, even though sometimes I try to understand it. it's just,
It's
me
fun.
and languages don't work very well.
Yes, but even if I don't understand the words, if I'm really here and I'm listening, I can sometimes
sense of-
catch if it's been mistranslated or
Yes,
somehow
that's true.
hasn't gone across. That's been really fun.
Yes.
Yeah. Also, we have our Living Made Easy on Demand program happening.
It's a subscription series of us. It's a video that you get in your inbox every week.
Special articles of the month, forum where you can ask questions, we answer them. It's a great program. And through the end of the month, if you sign up for the year subscription, we give you an extra month at no charge. If you want to know more about anything or to register for anything, just go to our website.
transformationmadeeasy.com.
Let's take our next guest.
Yes, let's.
Miss Dorina.
Hi, Ari and Shaya. Great to see you both.
Great to see you too.
And to hear you.
Thank you.
We're doing this via Zoom, so we see how alive you are this morning, afternoon in your time.
So where are you, Dorina?
I'm in Hamburg, Germany.
Great. Normally, in a different world, we would be coming to Hamburg in another week or so, but we're doing things virtually. So
COVID has transformed our lives.
Absolutely.
In more ways than we can imagine.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm so fascinated by that possibility. And I mean, I got to know this kind of format with you both. And it's really a privilege to have that, because just to listen to you, what you're offering about transformation, it makes my life so much easier. It's really the truth, and I love to listen what you have to say.
Well, one of the things I love about this particular time frame where we've really, we do Living Made Easy virtual seminars twice a week in general on Mondays. Monday nights Eastern time, and then Saturday morning, so it grabs it for a lot of the different time frames. And also once a month on Tuesdays. I get to see you so much more often than when we only came to Germany
twice a
year. Or if you manage to make it into New York City, it's like we get to see people and touch in.
Well, Dorina, it is just a pleasure to see you too, because we've known you for a very long time, and we knew you when you didn't know you.
What does that mean?
Well, if you take a look, when we all started looking at different possibilities for our lives, and we started down the path of living a transformational lifestyle, most of us had a misconception about ourselves that we were broken. So when Chai says you didn't know you, your idea of who you were
back then
was
it's
far diminished from who you are.
You are so radically different. It's not the same person, even though it's an older body perhaps, but the being is younger. Is younger, right?
That's really true. I mean, wow. I mean, I can feel the difference, what it makes for me, just for the topic of our podcast now, for our, about being in my brain. It's like really in my thinking process, and I was thinking so much. It's still I would say a leftover what I have, but now I have the possibility to look through it, to be aware. Like, oh my God, my mind is so talking, and so it's also fun to see when I'm doing the dishes, for example, and then suddenly I hear music. So I put some music, a song in my head. I was like, this is interesting. Okay, why this song? I mean, it's not maybe for a special reason, but just to be aware of what my mind is doing. And
Yes.
wow, I mean, I'm the person, I'm waking up also during the night, and I was like, oh, my mind is so working, and try to find the best way, what I can do for my life, for my living, for my situation, and the whole story
So
comes
let
up.
me ask you something, Verena.
Yeah.
Could you have planned to meet Mark?
No.
I mean, the moment before you met him, he didn't exist for you.
Yeah, that's true.
See, your life has been showing up the way it does forever.
Yeah.
And all you're trying to make it turn out the way you think it ought to hasn't changed anything.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I find it very interesting. Like, I could not have not met Ariel when I did.
Mm.
And, you know, this is a relationship that has lasted against all odds.
Mm.
Nobody thought this thing could work, including us. But it works.
Mm.
You work. Your life works if you let it.
Yeah, and this is for me, it's just so really the way of being there for it. It's like, yeah, I know for myself, I want to be prepared what's coming up, so then I feel safe.
Well, there was a period of time where I was eating a lot of carbohydrates. I do a little bit now, but back then we had a very different way of eating. And one of the things I've discovered after having eaten more high protein is when I introduce carbohydrates back into my food, my mind tends to think about where the next meal is coming from.
Yeah.
And when that was happening, one of the things that I used to do is let my mind prepare upcoming meals. It would satisfy itself. And then I would go about my day, and we rarely made the meals that my mind prepared.
Mm-hmm.
But it just happily occupied itself. And I didn't take it too seriously. And as you were talking, you said just such a great thing, Doreen. I want to underline it. You said you have this conversation and you're able to see through it.
Mm.
Most people think the conversation is them. So if it says, I'm depressed, they think they're depressed. If it says, I don't like you, you think you don't like them, or thinks, I don't want to do this, you think that means something, rather than it's a thought, a conversation, it's just going through.
Mm. Yeah. And it's really a gift for myself, what I can give to me. It's like I can say I'm not this dummy, I'm the smart person. And my just brain is working hard. But when I relax, I can really let it be like it is, and just to watch a little bit from the outside, and just it's a fascination then to watch that.
I just want to take a moment though. You say, I'm not the dummy, I'm the smart person. That's like the flip side of the coin. It's like the conversation having the reverse conversation.
It's still trying to prove you're not the dummy if you're saying you're the smart person.
Rather than noticing. Third principle, you see something without judging it, it completes itself. So your mind says, oh, Dorina, what a dummy. And you go, huh. And then it's over. And
But if you're trying to say, no, I'm not dumb, I'm smart, well, then you get stuck in that dumb and smart rather than living your life.
And you know what's funny? It's your mind. It's the same mind that called you a dummy that's rebutting it and telling you, no, you're smart.
Same voice.
Yeah. Yeah. absolutely.
And when that, you know, you can almost see it, that when you're having that conversation, your eyes become unfocused. You're in a alternate reality. But when you're here, your eyes see what's in the world around you. There are things to be done or not, but there are colors, there
Well,
are
you
textures,
know,
there are
it's
flavors.
interesting as you say that. I see that there's all these things that I could get caught in my universe, and my mind filters those out so I can be here for this conversation. But that doesn't mean that those things don't exist in your universe. They still exist. Whether you get caught in them, or I have to clean that, I have to put that away, all the have tos in life, you don't have to do anything except perhaps take the next breath.
Yeah. Right.
Right.
Yeah. That's maybe this a secret, but it's and it's so, but this is it. I mean, this is, yeah, to be
It's so funny you said maybe that's the secret, as opposed to the book The Secret, where you visualize what you want and go to produce it in the future, which Shai and I very successfully did back in the 80s before The Secret was a thing. And then we discovered by projecting what we wanted from our mind and producing it, we ended up getting less and less satisfied. Where what we've discovered is, as you're here, satisfaction blooms.
sounds so, yes. Yeah, yummy.
I hope you can hear this. I feel honored that you're with us here today, Dorina. I'm so moved by you. It's so lovely.
Thank you so much.
Yes, that's true for both of us.
And I know that this show airs the day before my 63rd birthday, and I'm going to consider you my birthday gift.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you for being with us.
I'm honored. Thank you.
Well, if you've enjoyed this podcast, you can leave a review on your favorite podcast app. It helps other people find it. But if you don't feel to do that, don't. There's nothing you need to do. Being here is enough. And we've really enjoyed being with you. You know, I printed out the info on the show. Normally we tell you what next week's show is, but I didn't print that part out, so I can't tell you.
So like life, join us next week and be surprised by
we'll find out
what shows up.
You'll find out. We'll find out. We'll be back next week.
So come on back.
And don't miss
being here.